Ukrainian National Guard troops have wiped out a Russian sabotage group that slipped into a frontline village in the Donetsk region, according to Ukraine's Dnipro Operational Strategic Command on September the 5th. Soldiers of the National Guard's 4th Rapid Response Brigade, Rubizh, working with neighboring units, launched a clearance operation on the Dobropillia axis, according to United 24 media. Troops involved in the mission said up to 8 Russian soldiers infiltrated the settlement but were quickly contained and surrounded inside a residential building on the village outskirts. To dislodge the group, the National Guard deployed a Roshel Senator armored vehicle using its mounted machine gun to fire on Russian positions. Recon units then stormed the building and finished clearing out the remaining soldiers. Preliminary reports suggest the engagement left as many as a platoon of Russian troops killed, wounded, or captured. The Rubizh Brigade reported that all its fighters returned safely from the operation without losses. Earlier, Ukrainian forces regained control of the village of Mirny in the Kharkiv region, located next to the city of Kupiansk. The area had previously allowed Russian troops to influence the main route leading into the city. Oleksiy Bielsky, spokesperson for the Dnipro Operational Strategic Group of Troops, said that Ukrainian armed forces cleared Pokrovsk, liberated Udachne and Novokonomichne, and are destroying Russian reinforcements moving toward Dobropillia. According to him, the invaders are trying at all costs to maintain control of the so-called Dobropillia salient, pulling reserves there from south to north. There is a new narrow corridor there, about 6 kilometers wide. It is under complete fire control of Ukrainian forces. Artillery, mortars, ATGMs, bombers are working there. One of the brigades reported that they captured a prisoner. To the north, there are only dirt roads. Prisoners say they call them roads of death. They can be killed along the way or left dead under Dobropillia. It's a one-way road, Bielsky explained. According to him, heavy fighting continues in the Novopavlivka sector, especially near the village of Vosrezenka, right on the Donetsk-Dnipropetrovsk administrative border. They enter in small groups, plant their rag flag, film a video. These are so-called death squads. Usually, such groups are quickly detected and destroyed by our forces. The situation there is dynamic and developing quickly. They come, they are destroyed. Our forces advance, then theirs, and so on. I cannot say that Russians have entrenched in Dnipropetrovsk region. We have no evidence of that. Perhaps they entered briefly and were eliminated, the spokesperson said.
The Russians are taking measures to avoid such successful operations of the security service of Ukraine as Spider Web, when 41 enemy strategic aircraft were hit. As UNAN correspondent reports, the head of the SBU Vasyl Malyuk told journalists about this. First, about the consequences of Operation Spider Web, and what exactly the Russians are doing to avoid further attacks. I will start with the fact that we never repeat ourselves. They do take certain measures to avoid successful operations of this kind, but we do not repeat ourselves, he noted. According to Maluk, during the next missile and drone attacks, the Russians are indeed working with a smaller number of aircraft. He also emphasized that the occupiers were forced to move their strategic aircraft to the easternmost point. This is the Ukrainka airfield, and now they need to cover a very large distance to get closer to the territory of Ukraine, to the launch sites. This is not profitable for them and, in fact, is unacceptable in their work. Moreover, this accelerates the wear of certain parts of these aircraft and they quickly lose their corresponding engine life. Therefore, this is truly confirming data, the head of the SBU emphasized. He also commented on President Volodymyr Zelensky's words that, "We are preparing a force, on the ground, in the air and at sea, that, simply by working according to plan, will put pressure on Russia to stop the war." What the president said about what we are planning in the air, at sea, and on land, of course, we are implementing and planning for the near future, and for certain strategic plans and operational plans, but this is not the kind of data that we can share with the general public, said Malyuk. As reported, construction of protective structures began at some Russian air bases after the Ukrainian Operation Web, which was carried out on June 1st. For example, according to Frontelligence Insight, satellite images from July 7 showed that Russian forces had built about 10 fortified earth-covered bunkers, 12 concrete bunker-type structures without earth covering, and 8 hangar-style buildings at the Kalino Air Base in the Kursk region. Satellite images of Kalino Air Base from Planet Labs, dated June 27, also show fortified hangars. In addition, according to Frontelligence and Planet Labs images, the Russians have built 2 concrete bunkers at Saki Air Base in occupied Crimea. The Ukrainian armed forces have discovered and struck an area where military equipment was gathered in the Belgorod region of Russia, hangars where military trucks were stored, as well as an infantry armored fighting vehicle and a cannon. As a result of precise strikes by kamikaze drones, several hangars, along with equipment and trucks located in the open air, were exploded and destroyed. It should be noted that the Ukrainian army regularly carries out drone and air strikes on military facilities in Russian border areas.